Rivonia. Liliesleaf was selected to receive the grant following a worldwide competition for funds dedicated to the preservation of cultural sites, cultural objects, and forms of additional or traditional cultural expression. To tell us more, we are joined from our Pretoria studios by the US Ambassador to South Africa, and a great friend of Morning Live, Patrick Gaspard. Always a pleasure, Ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so very much for having me, Leon. It's always a highlight. And
in the Johannesburg studio with us, also somebody who I love chatting to, who is a wealth of knowledge. We've got the CEO of Liliesleaf Farm, Nick Wolpe, in studio. Nick, always good to see you.
Lovely to see you, Leanne, and thank you.
Thank you for bringing some of these amazing artifacts with. We're going to chat about them in a short while. First, I want to get to the bottom of this fund. Ambassador, remind us of the origins and the purpose of this Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation.
Thank you so much, Leon. The Ambassadors Fund is a remarkable initiative that was launched by the United States State Department in 2001 to help make sure that we protect and preserve the historic and cultural heritage that we all have that really reaffirms our shared humanity. Through this fund, we've been able to support close to $70 million worth of projects in over 130 nations around the world. Projects like the restoration of the infrastructure for research at the Cradle for Humankind, or the work that I did yesterday in launching an initiative with the Ezekiel Slave Lodge Museum in partnership with the New African American Museum of History in the United States to talk about some of our shared history of struggle and to make certain that future generations are able to benefit from the archival material to inform future struggles.
Why Liliesleaf? What made this particular place stand out for this to benefit?
You know, I've been to Liliesleaf several times, and what always strikes one there is that when you walk through Liliesleaf, you're not looking into the past, but you're amongst living history. I think that for your viewers who have not yet been there, I hope that they all go, but those who have been there will appreciate that Liliesleaf does a remarkable job of making present the challenges that the struggle icons had here in South Africa, the tensions in a contested society that continues to have some real legacy in today's politics and today's headlines. And I think that it's impossible really to have a sense of where we are going as a people, Americans and South Africans, without being able to look back on the past and have that past serve some role in governing our future purposefulness and direction. Liliesleaf does that better than most museums that I've gone through anywhere on the planet.
I have to agree with you. I really do have to agree with you, Ambassador. Nick, you're sitting here, and I mean, it's really your baby, and you've done an unbelievable way of bringing the past into the present in one of the most innovative and technological ways when you do visit Liliesleaf. This money, how is it going to help Liliesleaf?
It's going to be extremely critical. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Ambassador for being a champion of this, for making this possible, for giving Liliesleaf the opportunity to embark upon a program of preservation. Caroline Hamilton had a wonderful quote, which he basically said, the archive is the ancestor to the unborn child. And I think that sums up the importance of this specific project. The archive contains the memories of the past. It contains what the past was like, but it also contains an understanding as to how we can grapple and deal with the current and the future. So without preserving our archives, we will be losing an incredibly important tool for dealing with the present and the future. And the money that we are receiving from the Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation will ensure that we are able to preserve this material, but not only just preserve it, make it accessible. Because I think there is a fundamental problem with archives around the world. They are seen as vaults, that the material gets locked away and should be preserved and not seen. And we at Liliesleaf believe the opposite. We believe that the material should be seen because it's an important guiding compass for the future and the present.
I mean, you've brought some of the things with today, and I want you to talk through some of them. I mean, you know, all of them are amazing, but some of have these been on display?
No.
So this is going to be for the first time. They're actually going to be coming out now?
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about it, because I mean, this one, This got my attention. I mean, you were showing me in the guest room a bit earlier. It's a pen that was given to O.R. Tambo.
Correct.
And but it's not a pen. It's a gun. I mean, just talk to me about this. Who gave this to him, and what's the whole idea? Can I turn it into this camera so everyone can see?
Well, at first we weren't sure whether it was the Cubans or the East Germans, but eventually we uncovered that it was the East Germans had given him this pen, which, as you can see, has the bullets. And it was to protect him from would-be assassins. So the idea was that he was to put it on his desk, and should a would-be assassin come, he would have the opportunity to defend himself.
Wow, that's incredible. Like I said, this is James Bond stuff. All right, so this is going to be on display. The other books and things that you have brought?
Well, for example, this is a very interesting artifact. Now, interestingly, it's it would, in all normal circumstances, it would just be a book.
Yeah.
But because it has been signed by quite a few of the treason trialists,
amazing,
it becomes a historical artifact.
Oh, yes.
And that's what now has turned this book of the treason trial into a historical artifact, because it's now signed by, I would say, about 50 to 55% of the treason trialists, one of them being Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a scrapbook of newspaper cuttings. And this was, again, we have quite a number of newspaper cuttings which require preservation and conservation. So this is one of the important tasks which the funds will be used for, to preserve the newspaper cuttings.
Because it has to. I mean, over time, these fade. Yeah. Newspaper cuttings and all of these things fade away into nothing, so we need to preserve.
Now,
King Kong.
King Kong. Now, the reason we have King Kong is that the set designer was Arthur Goldreich, who fronted as the white owner of Liliesleaf. Oh, wow. So there is a strong connection between King Kong, Liliesleaf, through Arthur Goldreich.
And more importantly, it's a record.
Yes.
That in itself is that's an artifact. If you have to show the millennials, they haven't got a clue what that is.
I think they would look very puzzled.
Yeah, they would.
It would like to be like a telephone.
It would be exactly the same. And then this is really nice as well. I mean, there's two more things. One over there is you were saying is that the awaiting trial card?
That's Nelson Mandela's waiting a trial card for his trial of 62, not the Rivonia trial.
Not the Rivonia trial of 62. That's right in the front over there, just to, if the cameras can get that. And then you've got the last one.
And this is a album of one of the Naidu family members. So we have a collection of Naidu archival material. So this just gives you a kind of broad overview of what we have in the archive and what the Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation will be used to start preserving and ensuring that this material does not decay or disintegrate.
That's amazing. I really can't thank you enough for bringing these in. Ambassador, you're missing out. Have you actually seen them? I'm not sure if you've had the opportunity to see some of these things in the flesh.
I've seen some of it, Leon, and what's remarkable for me, in my time here in South Africa, I've had the ability to walk amongst and break bread with the founding fathers and founding mothers of South Africa. That won't be possible for future generations. But when we digitize these archives, when you look at that card that Nick showed you, it has Nelson Mandela's thumbprint on it. That's going to make it present living history for the millennials and for future generations, and that really, really matters. So it's an incredible thing that we're doing here today.
It is amazing. Nick, on a closing note from you, these, when will they be available for the public to actually see?
Look, it's going to be a process. This is something that's going to take maybe 18 months to 2 years.
Okay.
But as I said, it's preservation and digitization. But also at the same time, we do it, when we open up the archive, people will be able to come through and view the material. Yeah. I mean, so it's not as if the archive will be excluded to the general public, but it's going to be open to the public, but by booking. So people would have to book, make an arrangement to come through. But we want to make it available so people can experience, can see. Because, as I said earlier, this is the ancestor of our past, but also to our future.
Indeed. Well, you've got to come in and we'll do another follow-up interview as soon as it's ready to be on display and people will know that they can get down there. But if you haven't been to Liliesleaf, please take the opportunity to go and visit it. It is one of the most incredible places to visit. Ambassador Gaspard, just before I let you go, however, there's no way I can have you sitting here in our company and not talk a little bit about the US elections that are coming up. I mean, we've got, I'm not even sure, what are we up at, 5 weeks maybe until the elections or less? What do you make of the run-up to these
27
elections?
days.
It's 27 days. Where am I getting my calculations
days.
from? It's unbelievable. What do you make of the run-up? I mean, this has been unbelievable and unprecedented. Viewership figures of debates that have never been seen before. Tapes that are suddenly appearing. And I imagine a lot more is going to appear in these 27 days. What is your take?
I suspected that you might not let me off without asking this question, Leon. Look, I'll say this at the top. I know that my South African friends are keenly interested in this contest. They should appreciate that irrespective of whoever wins, the enduring partnership that we have will continue and our commitment to progress in South Africa will continue. I will tell you that as somebody who has spent a fair amount of my adult life in politics in the U.S., I am concerned about some of the coarseness that I see in our politics, and I hope that leaders in all of our parties will appreciate that the heated rhetoric in election campaigns can have some real consequence when it comes to governance. I hope we'll be able to elevate past this moment and continue in the finest traditions of American democracy and coming together after the elections to heal and to make sure that we continue to advance as a people. Yeah. So it is a fascinating election, certainly colorful, not without its controversy, but I'm confident that at the back end of this, we'll continue to be the beacon that the world needs us to be.
Let's not take away from previous races as well. I mean, it was fascinating watching President Barack Obama get into office and get into office. But this is something extraordinary. It's something very, very different.
It is.
Just finally, have you had a chance to look at the latest polls? Because when I had a look a bit earlier, it seems that Democrat Hillary Clinton, after all is said and done, is quite a lot ahead of Republican Donald Trump.
She is. Yeah, that's certainly the case. If you look at all the scientific polling that's been conducted, both right before and immediately after the debates and the recent release of those supercharged videos, former Secretary Clinton certainly seems to have a commanding lead. And it's apparent in the last few days that there are members of even the Republican Party that have been put off by some of what they saw and heard in the video, as all of us should be, because there's no way that women in the United States, in South Africa, anywhere should be talked about and disparaged in that fashion. So again, as I said, I look forward to the time when this is in our rearview mirror and we're doing all that we can to come together to heal and to focus on the really important issues of the day.
Ambassador Gaspard, thank you very much for talking to us here on the program in our Pretoria studios. Again, we appreciate your time. Right, let's take a break here on the program. We'll see you after this. Stay tuned.